There we go. All right, well, welcome to the MDGA live show webinar, What's New in 2026. This is the Exhibitor webinar. A couple weeks ago, we had a webinar that focused on the local show committees. So this is going to be more exhibitor-based. It's a lot of the same content, but we will be focusing more towards what does this mean as me for an exhibitor. And then we'll just kind of walk through it. I've got some slides here, and then we will get this posted and share the information as well. So let's see. Welcome and why we're here. So again, this is the Exhibitor webinar, and informed exhibitors strengthen the success and integrity of MDGA live shows. You got to be under a rock if you don't know that last year we had one of the best, we had the largest number of live shows with MDGA that we've ever had in the history of MDGA, and that number just keeps growing. So it really is kudos not only to the local show committees that are putting on these shows, but also to you guys as the exhibitors that are coming out and exhibiting your goats and learning more and helping, build a better goat and promote MDGA. So this webinar, we're going to walk through the 2026 updates before the show season begins. We do have a few shows that will start in March. So show season with MDGA typically kicks off in March, April, and then we go pretty strong through the summer, and then we've got a few fall shows. So our goal, again, is clarity, consistency, and confidence for you as you head into 2026 in the ring. So again, the purpose of the MDGA live show is to evaluate miniature dairy goats against the MDGA ideal. So with those judges that are there, they're providing that unbiased and educational evaluation so you can learn more about your goats. This gives you guys meaningful feedback and, again, that earned recognition for all of your hard work in your breeding program. And one of the things we always want to do is maintain our registry integrity through consistent standards. And that's really where a lot of the changes come in for 2026. So these big picture changes, we clarified some rules, some processes were tightened down, there were some new rules added, but the core goal of MDGA live shows remains unchanged. We want to give you guys a venue to get out again and show your goats and get that recognition and learn more about your goats. All of these changes also do reflect real world show experiences and feedback that we've got over the years. So diving right in, this probably doesn't affect most of you as an exhibitor, but we did have, as MDGA, we did have to raise the sanction fees. So when these local show committees submit the sanction application to MDGA, those costs MDGA was actually eating. We were losing money on, the goal is to break even because we are, MDGA is not trying to make money on these, but we did have to raise that because of course, the ribbon fees went up, shipping fees went up, everything has gone up over the years. So we haven't had a fee increase in many years, but it was time. So this basically barely cover our costs. So your entry fees and sponsorships when you attend these shows help those local shows cover these costs. So just more of an FYI for you guys. So one of the big ones, we've just got one slide here because it's pretty self-explanatory. This is the registration and eligibility updates. So we are kind of easing into this. So for 2026, the kind of what's new over on the left side is if your goat is over 1 year of age at the time of the show, it does require an official registration certificate. So if it is under 1 year of age, you can either have that pending registration email or that official registration certificate. When 2027 comes around next year, we are having a hard line in the sand that your goat must be registered either with MDGA or another approved miniature goat registry, but you must have that official registration certificate for the shows. We had some instances this year where goats had pending emails, thought it was all good, but then those goats turned out to be not eligible to be registered with MDGA, and those goats did happen to win, and so they everybody lost a leg, and it wasn't a good, the integrity, it's not what we're looking for. So this is the rule moving forward. So key points for you guys as an exhibitor is to make sure you're bringing that you know your goat's age, you're bringing the appropriate and accurate registration paperwork. Again, with all shows, that documentation will be verified at check-in. And again, that verification is ensuring fairness and protects the show and exhibitors. I'll kind of pause there because that's a big one. Some of the questions that have been bouncing around is, Carrie, in the spring, if I have a March show and I want to show a kid that was born in, just say January or something, there's not enough time. The registry gets behind. If that's the case, so it's not really, that's not going to affect you this year in 2026 because that goat's under 1 year of age, but for 2027, it might be that you need to pay the extra to get that expedited through the system if you want to take that goat to the show. So I feel I'll just speak for myself. I just kind of got lazy about it because we could do it. And so now it's just more of like a wake up call. We can't show, starting in 2027, we can't show these young juniors on a pending email. We've got to get them registered. So if I'm looking at my kid crop and I have a couple that I think might be, let's just go ahead and get them registered as soon as we can. And then we're not having to wait on that. Any questions on that one? But just kudos to our registrars because they are getting stuff done. So the turnaround times, everything's good. They do a lot of work for us. So, all right, moving on. Again, so just at check-in, so that we kind of already went through this, but again, bring your complete organized registration paperwork. It really helps when you've got your show book and things are organized and you're able to get checked in efficiently. That helps the local show committees. That documentation will again be verified for eligibility, and the rules are applied consistently to all exhibitors. So the rules are the rules, no exceptions.
I have a question.
Yep.
I had trouble finding my little microphone. I apologize.
That's okay.
For we have to have the official certificate. Will a snippet still do? Like if we haven't gotten it in the mail, but we've registered them, and like April or whoever sends us a snippet with their registration number.
So gotta be. I mean, I want to just draw it hard in the sand. Like you have to have the official registration. So, I mean, just like with ADGA, like you could have like the stamped duplicate. We've got to have, it's got to be proven that it has been accepted into the herd book.
Yes, I'm talking about like if we haven't received it by the show and they send us like the screenshot.
Like emergency, like, hey, can you just send a picture to verify that?
Yeah, the little snippet that they send of the actual registration, the certificate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be okay, but I would highly encourage against it. I mean, let's try to, I mean,
well, mine are registered that I'm going to be selling, even the babies. But
I'm trying to remember like the wording in the rules. But I mean, again, my tendency, you guys know me, I'm like big heart. I'm like, oh yeah, let's break the rules. But I mean, really, I'm going to say the rules are the rules. If it's something, if it comes, let's put it this way.
But wouldn't that qualify as an official? It's an official certificate. You just haven't gotten it in the mail yet, and they'll send you a picture.
Hasn't arrived, or like maybe it got lost, or maybe it got damaged at the post office. Let's just take those. The official statement will be just a one-off. Those will be handled one-off between the live show committee and the registrar's office, and then the local show committee as well, if we want to, if that comes up. So, good question, but let's try not to have that happen. So, but again, at the same time, I mean, my goal with MDGA is we've been growing the registry and growing the shows. I don't want to be like, oh, like, let's not, it's like, I want anyone who wants to show a goat, I want them to be able to show a goat. But again, we need to ensure that fairness is protecting, and, we're not, breaking the rules for some people, not for others, that sort of thing. So one by one, like we'll examine that, but good question. All right, so the big one here is the new live show height measurements. So I'm going to run through this, and then I'll pause a few times, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions on it, and so we'll just kind of address those and get through it. When I presented this to the local show committee, we kind of bounced around a lot on some of the slides, so I'll try to just go through present some of it, and then we can kind of come back and touch on it if we need to get some more clarification around it. So again, the goal of the new requirements, as all the changes in 2026, is integrity, fairness, and accuracy. We want to make sure we're moving forward as a registry and with our live shows in this manner. So why height measurement matters. So I talk about this a lot because we're a miniature dairy goat registry, right? These are miniature dairy goats. So we need to, anytime we are having an event like milk testing, live shows, we need to be measuring these goats to make sure that they are meeting the breed standards. And we're, because that's the whole goal, right? We're trying to get the size down. So if everyone just has giant goats again, like what are we really doing? We want to keep these accurate height checks, help keep our miniature dairy goats true to their breed standards. Ensuring fairness, again, a theme along here is that consistent measuring gives every exhibitor a fair and equal chance in the ring. And then again, promoting integrity, honest, accurate measurements build trust and support across our MDGA community. So a reminder, we've got all sorts of tools for the local show committee. So these are the breed height maximums. And there is a minimum on the Nigerian dwarfs for mature animals. So it's going to kind of be run different at your different shows. So that was why we had the local show committee a couple weeks ago. But the gist of it is that we've got several different herd books, right? So the ones that need to adhere to their height standards are the Americans and the purebreds. So if you've got a grade goat or an experimental, they're not really subjective to those height requirements, right? But basically just kind of how they do the Nigerians. So we will have a measuring stick ringside. So all goats will walk under the measuring stick. One of the things is like people are trying to win these measuring sticks because it makes sense. Like, okay, if we've got like an AOM class and maybe one of them is a larger breed and then one of them's a different height, we can maybe have them set at the different heights to help with that. But all gossaments walk under the measuring stick, and I'll share with you guys what we're recommending for that upon entering the show ring, and again, those breed height maximums. So any goat, except for experimentals and grades, any goat appearing close to the maximum height for its breed is subject to an official measurement. If that goat measures over height and it's American or purebred, you have the option. You can be disqualified from the class, right? Because that is a disqualifying, it's a fault, a disqualifying fault. Or you can be reclassified and keep showing. So the reclassification would be the goat would be moved to the experimental herd book. Give me one more second. Let me get through a few more things. Michelle, just maybe hold that question. Let me get through a few more things here, and then we'll kind of circle back. So the height measurements. So really what we're doing here is verifying that height compliance. And again, I mentioned it here, that process will vary from show to show on how you're going to do it. But if you're close to the limit, you can measure your goat ahead of time. And like if you know your measure, and so we'll talk, we've got some videos, Dee shot some videos for us. So one of the goals of this is to get folks to be measuring their goats at home so you can voluntarily move them and you won't have to deal with it. They'll already be experimental. So if you're close to the limit, you don't want to risk it. Owners of American or purebred goats, you can request an official measurement, and if you're over, then you can make that decision if you want to disqualify yourself or you want to downgrade them or reclassify them. So any goat, regardless, can always be measured, and we've got some different height forms. And one of the goals of this new height requirement is to get some data back to MDGA about the different heights that are out there. And then again, so just kind of summarizing, but the goat may continue to show if you do downgrade it, but its registration will be reclassified to the experimental herd book. Okay, so what happens if your goat's disqualified and you don't want to reclassify it, then you're gone from that ring, you're disqualified. But if you're like, okay, cool, yeah, my buck's too tall, I want to go ahead and reclassify it, what's going to happen is there's an over height sticker, and I'm going to show you a picture of it here in a second, but a sticker will be affixed to the registration certificate stating that over height, this animal will be reclassified to the experimental herd book. And basically, that's the, now you don't have to meet any of the height requirements because you're experimental or your goat is experimental. These records of these measurements will be completed. The show committees will have a duplicate form. The plan is it'll be one form per herd. So if you had, a couple goats maybe that were over height, but you had some voluntary goats, we would write them on there, and I'll show that to you as well. And then that will come back into MDGA when that live show committee submits that back in. But the important thing there is that the registrars will need to know which ones were over height so that they can make that move back to the experimental herd book. So MDGA will review, reclassify, and update the records, notifying the owner. And then you can show with that stickered paper for up to a year. So let's say your goat went over height at the first show and maybe you go to 2 or 3 shows. You can keep showing with that. And then maybe in the fall when you're not showing, you can submit that back and get updated paperwork that shows the correct herd book without the sticker. So this is what the sticker looks like. It's not quite that big. I don't know how big your screen is, but it's a pretty good size. So we will, I'm just remembering we didn't talk about it at the live show committee, but we need to make sure when we're stickering those, we're not stickering over any pertinent information that the registrars are going to need to identify that goat. So kind of, down in the corner or up in the, one of the corners. And then this is the height record form. So again, this is a white copy will go back to the MDGA office, and then you will have, as the exhibitor, you will keep a yellow copy. And so it just has the name of the show, and you can put the registration number, the goat's name, and its height. Let me just hit next and see, and then we'll circle back to some questions. All right, questions.
Well, I think the whole height verification thing is a great idea. I know myself and a few others have talked and wanted this for a long time, so thank you for that. Mm-hmm. My question is there a specific age that you will do the height on, like a year, 2 years? I mean, you're not going to say, oh, this 3-month-old is over height. I'm just wondering if there's an age, at what age you will do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to vary, of course, on the genetics of the goat. I mean, so for those juniors, we're going to have this, it'll be just like the same for the Nigerians. Like the stick's going to be there, but I mean, it might be fun. I mean, you might just want to measure. I mean, my whole point is we can't, we're breeding miniature goats. So if we're having official MDGA functions, we need to get measurements on these goats and make sure we're enforcing the breed standards. But I mean, I think overall in general, we need, as a registry and as a member base, not just live show exhibitors, like all of our members, like I would love for a lot more of these, the height, just like measuring your goats, seeing what their heights are doing, really looking at that data, and like even looking at the data in your lines, because I don't know. I mean, I don't, like currently, I'll just admit it, I don't really measure my goats. I mean, I'm like, yep, they're like, yay high, I guess they're good enough. And then they get me, if they win, they get measured, like, oh, cool, but I think really, and then, I mean, I do milk tests and we measure them for milk tests.
Yeah, we measure them for milk tests. But I was just wondering if
you
had a certain age that was going to be a starting requirement of, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is, like the stick's going to be ringside, but if it's a, under, 4 to 8 month old or something, or under 4 months, I mean, we're not going to be measuring those goats, right? It's going to be like, did they clear under the stick? That's good to go. But again, to that is if you would want to measure your goats, I am going to encourage you to measure your goats all the time, like measure your goats and like log it. And, even at the shows, like if you've got some, I mean, I just think it would be fun to have this data. The goal is we will eventually maybe try to use the data, but basically it's just collecting it right now. And then if the breed standards committee need to go back and look at stuff, we'll have that little reservoir of data that we could maybe lean on. So, other questions?
So, Carrie, it's not going to be like how it is for ADGA, where they just measure even when they're babies.
Yeah, I don't foresee that we're going to be, I mean, like you're supposed to measure the winners, right? That's going to go onto the form for like a junior dosho. Like you put the measurement on there, but I mean, it's going to be, did they clear under the stick? If they clear under the stick, we're not going to be sitting there. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a learning curve this year for sure. Because at least in our Texas mini milker shows, I mean, we've always just been measuring the winners. We haven't really, been, the judges, like they'll be like, oh, is this experimental? That's one of the things that as the local show committee, we are also trying to come up with some ideas on how we can help our judges judge the goats more efficiently. And I've had several judges say to me like, hey, it'd be cool if I knew which ones were experimental and which ones were, or just at least which ones were experimental. So we've got some ideas that are circulating. So just stay tuned to your local show committee. A couple of the ideas were just maybe marking their collars with some like little Lumi type things, having your ring stewards control or making goats, making the experimentals go in first and then the Americans and purebreds. So, I mean, I think this year is going to be a fun year to just kind of maybe try a lot of things across the country and just see like what resonates and what works well for the shows. And then again, of course, exhibitor feedback is going to be crucial to those local show committees. So then we can all, the local show committees, we have a Facebook group where we share ideas and do things. So if you're interested in joining that, it is, you can find it and there's a link on the MDGA website. But that's going to be really crucial this year to just kind of see what works, what doesn't, and go from there. Any other questions? Okay, so you'll notice that I use the term, I tried not to use the term downgrade a lot. It does say it on this slide. Tried to talk about reclassify because when we start talking about some things, people say, oh, if my goat gets downgraded to the experimental herd book, I've heard these things, I have to start all over. My breeding program is ruined. It's the end of the world, right? That's not the case. Those are all myths. So what is the case is if your goat does get reclassified, it does not mean starting over. A star is added to that registration number to designate that that goat has been moved into the experimental herd book. That reclassification reflects breeding with integrity and honoring MDGA standards. So I mean, you should not, it's nothing to, I think people are like, oh, like they're ashamed, like their purebred goat got reclassified. Well, like, other reasons could be like in the mini Nubians, like the ears. But we've had, had goats that have been reclassified for that. And so now, I mean, a goat would be reclassified for height. But here's the thing. Let's say you had that purebred goat. The progeny, any progeny it has will be placed in the appropriate herd book based on the generation if that breed standard is met. So because your goat was, let's just say 6th generation, and it goes back to the experimental herd book, let's just say you are breeding purebreds, you breed a 6 to a 6, and then those kids would be 7. Well, if those kids meet breed standard, they're going to be a purebred. They're not going to start all the way back and have to work through experimental American and then purebred. So I think that is a kind of fact that people don't know. They kind of think they got to start all over. So I just kind of wanted to set that record straight tonight for everyone as well. Any questions on that? All right, zooming right along. So this is the measuring stick that we are recommending. You can get this on Amazon. There's some like local feed stores that have it too. Tonight, the winner, whoever gets it, I will order it from Amazon and send it to you, and it'll arrive from Amazon. So it's just the miniature horse version of the measuring stick. It's got a little level bubble, and they're pretty nifty. They have a little, I guess, a pouch that you can put them in. If you do win it, or if you have one, make sure you put a label on it and put your name on it. So make sure you get it back after the show. So that is the official measuring stick that we're recommending. Talked a little bit about this earlier, but basically that voluntary herd height measurement. So again, this is really supporting the breed improvement through data collection. So you'll have the option, like at the live shows, if you want to voluntarily measure your herd, you can do that, and we can collect that data on the form that's going to come back with the ROA. And why that matters, again, are kind of already hit on this, but each voluntary measurement builds accurate breed records supporting fairness, transparency, and future generations of miniature dairy goats. So proper height measurement, we want to make sure we have a flat surface. So we want to measure on a flat level surface for consistent, accurate results. So one of the feedback immediate was like, oh my God, our show, like our fairgrounds, like there's no flat area. So as the show committee, we're like, all right, well, someone just throw a board in the bed of their truck. And like, if we need it, we can pull that out, and that can be where we can measure. So your goat should be at a natural stance, square on all 4 feet, relaxed, upright. And then the head needs to be neutral. So you'll see this sometimes people will pull the head up too far. So it's kind of like a, Goldilocks just right. So not too high, not too low, just that natural neutral state of the head. So again, and then the height is measured up to the withers from the ground. So this is very sped up. This is thanks to our good friend Dee. She's measuring her little girl here, and she's giving her some kisses. Okay. So gets her head in the bubbles level. And then now this is from the side, so you can see, get the stick level. And like, I think Dee's camera was a little crooked, but yeah. So there you go. All right, so again, just a little bit more on the height stuff. So again, it's, our responsibility as breeders and ethical miniature dairy goat enthusiasts to maintain that integrity and compliance with our breed. So we want to be measuring regularly. Owners should routinely measure their goats at home to ensure they remain within the breed height limit. If you're measuring at home and your goat's over, report that in. I think the form is made. I don't think we've got it live anywhere just yet, but we'll push that data out to you guys. But there will be a form where you can self-report over height animals and have them reclassified as needed. So again, if you're measuring at home, your buck is an inch over, you want to go ahead and get them reclassified so you don't have to worry about it at the show. You can do that. And again, that honest reporting protects the integrity of MDGA. So we appreciate that. All right, there is an appeals process. So if you are at a show and you feel that your goat was not measured appropriately, you have 30 days to request a review. Basically, what the rules say is that you need to get a written, it needs to have a letter. Like, so if your goat was measured, you don't think it was right, you got to take it somewhere. We're saying your veterinarian to get it measured appropriately, and then get that on clinic letterhead and present that to MDGA. We hope that this doesn't happen, because I really want to create, for me, I know if my goats are even close, I'll probably just reclassify them. I mean, if they're like a, ½ inch or a quarter inch or something, like, and it's, I'm measuring a few times and they're sometimes going over, sometimes, depending on what they're doing, I might just go ahead and just reclassify them. So the final determination will be up to the MDGA registrar with the live show committee to appeal. I think that's it on height. Any questions on heights? It's going to be a little bit of getting used to some things. It might affect the show flow a little bit, but we've got a good team of local show committee folks coming up with good ideas to help the exhibitors run smoothly. And we do have some asks from them to you guys at the end of this. I'll share that with you as well. All right, so up next, fun, we have group classes. So group classes are not officially sanctioned with MDGA. This is kind of like, you're not winning legs. This is for fun, for recognition. Again, they don't count towards championship legs. Basically, I've offered up all sorts of different names of classes, requirements for the classes. If committees want to have some other weird group class that we don't have, we can add it, because what this is really about is featuring those winning groups on the MDGA live show result webpage, sending in photos, and just, you know, having fun. The rosettes are awesome. They're really, really big. I don't know if I don't think I have a picture coming up, but they're really awesome. So I think I'm encouraging you guys as exhibitors to let your show committees know if you'd like to participate, and then get them to purchase the big group ribbons, so you guys can get those. Reporting back on these is just a simple form that gets submitted back, but we do need to make sure we get those photos from you guys. And just another call out real quick. Like, if your goat has ever won anything with MDGA, look at the live show page, look at the results. If you want a picture of your goat there, send that to me, because we have a lot of pictures. We do put a lot of pictures in there, but there's a ton of people that never have any pictures. So I would love to have every single spot filled. I want a picture of every goat that won. So, sorry, side note. Okay, paperwork and reporting. We've done a lot with our report of awards. The ROA, that's what that stands for, is the form that we fill out that sends back the wins to MDGA, so we can get that processed. I put in a lot of effort. We had a lot of them coming in with errors, just wrong information, things weren't legible. So I put together a training video and certification test. My recommendation is for you as exhibitors, feel free to complete that, because this just makes you a more well-rounded exhibitor. One of my biggest, when you go to sign as an exhibitor, make sure you just sign in your spot. I've had a lot of paperwork come back where it's just this massive signature, and then I can't read the registration number or something like that. So make sure, you know, that's the only record of the show. So make sure that it is, that you're doing things proper. But it's just a fun little training, and it's a little quiz. I think everyone will enjoy it. The other educational resources that we've launched this year, I'm making the recommendation that all exhibitors should complete the live show rules knowledge test and certification. It is available if you click on the MDGA website and go to live show. There's a whole section, what's new, and there's a link over there. So we've got the rules knowledge test. So it'll take you and you'll read the rules and complete the test. We do have a new video on viewing live show results. I kind of published those under the radar and didn't ever really announce that, but you can view all the way back to like 2000s, like over 25 years of show results are available to look at on the website. So there's a video that shows you how to do that. Not real applicable for exhibitors, but there is a video on how to complete the sanction form to get a show going. So if you have an interest in starting a show in your area, you might can take a look at that as well. All right, there is a new scorecard. The new scorecard has been aligned. Not a lot of the wording change, just basically the points to align more closely with the AGDA scorecard. Feedback we got on that was that we're using a lot of AGDA judges for our MDGA shows, and they are not going to learn another point system. So this just basically simplified it for them. And then there is a showmanship card. So if they do offer showmanship, or if you're just attending just like just an MDGA show, there is that resource as well. The fault matrix is basically updated and expanded. You can really think of this as a good educational tool to go through there and read about what are the faults, what is a disqualifying fault, what's a severe fault, that sort of thing. And then it does have the breed fault matrix. We kind of simplified that. It was a little hard to get through. So that all has been simplified and is up on the website. So here's the request from your show committees. Know the rules. So back to that live show, the question, the knowledge test, and the video and everything. So go through and do that. Make sure that you are coming with proper identification. Make sure you are not tattooing or microchipping goats like at the show. Like, let's get all that done ahead of time and make sure you've got your proper paperwork. And then have those show books ringside to help with the flow. Show etiquette. So again, this year, I think everyone, shows can be stressful sometimes, but just remember to be nice to your show committees. And then again, this year, most importantly, is just really be patient, because we do have these changes. And so we'll be navigating. And so hopefully things in 2027 will kind of have things flushed out. And last but not least, have fun, because what it's all about is, taking your goats out, that camaraderie, that fun. And so that's what we want to continue to do. And then, of course, it's always nice if you bring home some ribbons. I think that is it. Questions, feedback, requests, anything that MDGA and the live show committee can do for you guys?
Something besides brown ribbons.
I hear you. Y'all are going to really feel that when you see how fabulous the group ribbons are. They're black and hot pink. They're very cool. Anybody else?
Well, I appreciate you doing this, Carrie. And I'm actually probably one of the few, but I'm very happy that we're getting more decisiveness with the expectations for breed character, like with the height. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. The height was the biggest kind of, I guess not negative feedback, but just kind of, feedback in general. But it was time for it to be done. And I think it'll be good. I think we'll vote her through. Leslie, you had a question?
Not really a question. I have a suggestion. I know that a lot of it, or some people have a ton of registrations in their books.
I know you.
Myself, I have started using a smaller book for just the show goats that I'm taking that time, which makes it a lot easier to flip through there and register those goats or check in, so that I'm not flipping through every goat I have. So I'm going to suggest that on our Facebook post for our show, is that if you can, maybe try and condense that. If you've got, I know some people have 2 binders, or a binder that's completely full and they're only showing 6 goats. Well, they have to flip through that every time to get that, to show us those with 4 people or 6 people or 10 people standing in line. So from a show committee standpoint, or from somebody that checks in registrations, it would be really helpful if we could get that minimized to only the ones that you're showing. You can bring them all and keep them all together, but maybe put those in a folder, or just a small folder, even if it's just a little floppy file folder with a little prongs in it, so that it's just a little bit more simple for all of us.
Yeah, the other thing, I think I didn't see all of Molly's comment, but she said she puts hers that are showing in the front, so she keeps them right in the front. I like, I've got a secondary one. I love that feedback, Leslie. That's especially when you're checking in. I've been there, they pop, it's like a 5-inch binder, and they're just like, where was Sally Sue? And you're just like, oh my goodness. But the other thing, and I did talk about this on the Exhibitor webinar, I think we're going to do like a 2.0 on that. But, everyone, I think, keeps their registration in a sleeve, like a protective sleeve, and make sure you only have 1 goat in that sleeve. Because what happens, you'll see people that put like 1 goat on one side, 1 goat on the other side. All right, well, Sally Sue wins. And then whatever, the paperwork gets flipped over to the wrong goat. It's chaos. The secretary judge is saying this one won, and then someone flips it over, and then the secretary is like, oh, okay. And then they write the wrong goat on there, so make sure that your sleeves is only, I always do like 1 goat, and then I might do like the pedigree on the back or their legs or something I might put everything for that 1 goat in that thing. So yeah, good. I like that. And then also have like your number, your name on it, and maybe your phone number on your binder in case it gets misplaced. We've had people leave them behind before. I mean, we knew who they were, but it's just good to have some identification on there.
Yes, we've had some get left too and had to call when they turned around and come back. And we've also had to mail some. So that's definitely a good suggestion, is to write your name and marker with a phone number so that we don't have to go back and dig it up to make sure we can contact you as quick as we know that it's been left.
Exactly. All right. Well, we flew through that. Our show committee one, we were gabbing for like 2 hours. I'll just open any other last minute questions, feedback, request, or I'll click over to the next slide, and it's going to be the QR code. And as well, I'll post the link to the Google form, which is where you're going to complete that to get registered for the door prize. Jennifer.
So this is kind of like a little side note thing, but like I volunteered a lot at a few shows last year, and I really enjoyed it. Like it was super fun. And so I just kind of wanted to put that out there in case anybody has like friends or family that are like kind of interested in your show goats and stuff like that. Because I know y'all are always looking for volunteers. But like I was thinking about this year, like I'm gonna be showing this year when I can, and I was like, I'm kind of sad that like I'm not gonna get to volunteer because I don't know, I thought it was super fun.
Yeah, your sentiments are exactly. I was in the same boat. I volunteered a little bit before I got started, and it was really fun to meet everyone. And then by the end of it, you're like, oh yeah, here comes midnight, and here, you know everybody, and it was just so fun to be contributing. So I always recommend, if anyone, or even exhibitors tonight that are on the call, or maybe you're listening to this recording, and you're thinking, I'm not sure I want to do this yet. I don't know what I'm doing. Don't just go to the show and watch the show, volunteer at the show, be a ring steward, be a ribbon runner, be a handler, just hold goats ringside, do something. You'll get in on the action and you'll learn a ton. Even the secretary is like, you're right there on the action. You're learning so much. So I think Molly came off of mute. Molly, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was curious. Does MDGA ever sanction showmanship categories?
So in the past, when I took over the live show committee, we had a bunch of like really old showmanship ribbons. And that was pretty much all we offered was you could just buy the ribbons if you wanted to have showmanship. So now with the new showmanship scorecard, maybe that is something that I could consider. Or what I might do, because so for those of y'all that don't know, MDGA works way differently than ADGA. So like if you're doing an ADGA show, like you place in your sanction and like your ribbons are shipped to you from the like ribbon factory, we'll say, like they get it. Okay, the ribbon factory for MDGA is literally like 4 feet right here in my closet. So we have to, we have to stock and pay for in advance all the ribbons. And then like when you guys sanction a show or your local show committees do, I say, okay. And I get out, I spread out all over my office and I get all the ribbons you need and I pack them in your little show box and then I take it to the post office and send it. So I don't know that we would go through, I can ask the local show committees if they have a need for that. But what I might could do is have a ribbon design. And if a local show committee wanted to purchase them, I could have the link and just have it already set up to where then you could just purchase direct from the ribbon factory and get that sent to you guys. So that might be a good solution. I know we've got a few show committee people on. Does that sound like that might be something to look into?
The reason why I asked is because I work with a local 4-H. I was a 4-H agent in South Carolina. I've recently switched to being a different type of extension agent, but because I'm involved with dairy goats, I will now judge the showmanship portion of the 4-H dairy goat shows.
Yeah.
So having access to the showmanship card would be awesome. I'm definitely going to look it up because in the past, I know we always used the ADGA showmanship card for our local 4-H dairy goat shows. But just having that opportunity for the kids, I think would be really awesome if possible, or just having resources to help teach the kids showmanship.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's let's see, showmanship. That'd be like a good project. We are about to release a revised MDGA judges manual that's going to be coming soon. And it's got a lot of information in it. And it's never historically been a public facing document, but it is going to be. And so it will be available. And I wouldn't say it's going to have some tools in it to help with the showmanship, but it's going to have like a dictionary, not a dictionary, what am I trying to say? Like frequently used words and like different statements and things like that. So it would be a good tool. But let's see, I've written down as follow-up showmanship ribbons, ? And then showmanship resources. The showmanship scorecard is already on the new live show rules for 2026.
Okay, I will definitely look that up and share it with our local 4-H agents.
Good. And then it's so like those old ribbons we had were green. I mean, you're providing feedback now. What would you like to see in those showmanship ribbons? Like a green ribbon with the MDGA logo or showmanship or something?
Green's always a nice color.
Okay. I mean, isn't 4-H is green like the clover thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look back into that, and then that would be something that we could at least offer that, like try to negotiate.
Just not brown.
Just not brown. I hear you, people. I hear you. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. My only ribbon I've ever got to do. Y'all are going to get to see it in the group classes. It's going to be spectacular. They are. I finally had to put them in the closet with the rest of them. I left them out on my dining room table, just like looking at them for like weeks, but they're away now. Okay, last opportunity for questions or feedback for this live session. But if there's ever anything that you have an idea, don't call me at 2:00 in the morning, but fire me an email, and I'm here to help make y'all's experience as exhibitors better. Working with the live show committees to put on more shows. So I'm just excited where our showing is going with MDGA. So let me just bring back, hold on. Oh God. Okay. So again, yes. So I don't even know if I introduced but again, you guys know me, Carrie, live show chair, all the website. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording and maybe. All right.